Conan the Barbarian. So this is actually a reprint of Conan the Barbarian issue number 1 from I think the 70s. So yeah, this is like the True Believers, which I'm actually a really big fan of Marvel's True Believers. For anyone who doesn't know, it's basically just reprints of classic Marvel comics, and it's for $1. So I really like it because I love like retro comics, and then I just love being able to just go to the store and pick up $1, like of a classic Marvel comic. I wish DC would do something like this, something similar. So yeah, this is the coming of Conan. So it's the very first. I think it might actually be the very first Conan comic book ever. But this is like I said, this is reprints. I'll be honest with you guys, I've never really been a big Conan fan. When it comes to Robert E. Lee, I've always been a Solomon Kane fan. Solomon Kane's freaking awesome. Anyone who hasn't read anything by Solomon Kane, I highly recommend it. Really great stuff. I always prefer that over Conan. I think Solomon Kane is Robert E. Howard's best stuff. But not all that familiar with Conan. I just know him mostly from the 2 Arnold movies, and then from Conan the Adventurer, which was actually a surprisingly good cartoon series. Now I have the theme song stuck in my head. Conan the Adventurer. So, we basically get the story of Conan as a youth, and this is actually his very first battle, and I guess this is the beginning of his rise to being the famous Conan the Barbarian. The art style is actually pretty interesting. It's kind of sad when you think about it, how like our style from back in the day is like a lot better than some of the current stuff now. And another thing I've noticed whenever I read these reprints is how long it takes me to read them. Like nowadays, I'm paying like almost $5 for one issue, and I'm going through that issue in like 5 minutes. So it's almost like I'm paying like a buck a minute of time. Whereas like here, I got this for $1, and it took me like maybe 15 minutes to read it all. It's kind of funny, like people like complaining about like a lot of dialogue. It's like, look at that. Like comics back in the day were basically nothing but just a bunch of dialogue bubbles. Then again, comic books back in the day actually kind of came across as like still pictures with just some dialogue. And people are like, isn't that just comic books? But comic books now, like you get you can tell stories just through pictures, right? Or you'll have like here we have a battle scene, and this battle literally lasts 1, 2, 3 pages. Whereas nowadays it would be like more extravagant, more pages, more panels showing like punches, more fluid action. Or now it's almost like, take a screenshot, and then we're gonna tell the story in that, with that screenshot. Next screenshot, it's I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly. I guess it just seems like there more happens. In terms of like something as simple as throwing a punch might take multiple panels, whereas back in the day it would be like one panel. One panel, you could have multiple actions going on at once, and it's mostly explained through story. Through dialogue, through narrative boxes. But yeah, there's a bunch of just writing in here. Not that I'm complaining, because it's good writing. I like the story. I know there's, where is it? Here we go. Basically this is like it's promoting 2 things. It's promoting the new Conan comic that came out. This one's for Friday, but there was one that came out actually last week. And it's promoting the omnibus of this, basically the original Conan series. It's a really good story. I liked it. It's basically Conan, very first battle, and then he meets Olaf, and they become friends. Very briefly. Like their friendship literally lasts maybe like a page or so before Olaf gets killed. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert for a comic that came out in the 70s. But it's a good story. It is kind of funny how like I noticed like comics back in the days, it's just like so much exposition. It's almost like those I don't know about you guys, but I love I don't listen to music anymore. I basically listen to podcasts, audiobooks, or radio dramas, like the old classic radio dramas. Like I listen to a lot of The Shadow, Pet Novak for Hire is really great. Dragnets, Philip Marlowe. So I read a lot. I listen to a lot of that, and that's almost kind of like what this reminds me of. Because they describe everything in their dialogue. They're like, Olaf, I am raising my sword now to attack so and so. It's just kind of like, I mean, I can see that in the in the image. You don't have to say that, but they describe like every little thing, like a cave with strange symbols above the entrance and a ghostly glow from somewhere within. It's like, I can see that. Like, you don't have to explain everything to me. You can just be like, hey, what's that weird light? You know, let's go check it out. Done. But I think it gives it kind of like its charm. I'm not ragging on that. I mean, obviously, you can't do this nowadays because it's not good storytelling in a sense. I don't want to say it's not good storytelling. It's not something that like fans are used to nowadays. Like we can get it. Like comics have come to a point where you can tell us a lot of things with just visuals. You don't need to lay everything out for us in dialogue and stuff. But these old comics do that a lot, and I guess it gives it its own charm. But yeah, basically, Conan helps Olav in his group, and this is Wolf, and he is the leader of the opposing group. And he basically comes across this cave with his second in command, and they discover this shaman and this woman and this star stone. And basically, the star stone is going to grant Wolf and his army the powers to take on Olaf, but in return, they need Conan as a sacrifice. So yeah, the covers and stuff are actually pretty well drawn on these. I'm hoping that the interiors are better, because that's another thing nowadays. Back then, I mean, you get this artwork, and that's kind of what you get. Like the covers match the interiors, whereas nowadays, like you get like really nicely drawn covers like this, and then the interiors are like like not even this quality. So it's kind of, I'm hoping that the artwork matches the cover and that the story is actually good. That's my thing. Like my thing is it's always story first, art second. You can give me like a really crappy, like non-professionally done comic book art, but this story is really good. You got me. Like that's, I mean, I'm a writer myself, so I've always been story first. Like I'm a huge video game fan. You give me a video game with like a really great story, and the gameplay can be kind of shit, but if the story is that good, I will enjoy it. I mean, one of my favorite video games is Killer 7, and the gameplay is not the greatest, but I like the story enough that I overlook it. That's the same. That's pretty much Pseudo 51, to be honest, or Pseudo Goichi. He tells like he has really, like really weird, crazy, out there stories that I love, but his gameplay is always like average at best. But back to the comics. So yeah, they basically the Starstone summons these winged demons, and they kill off Olaf, snap his neck, I guess, and Conan basically vows revenge. I found this kind of funny because Conan never seemed like the kind of person who, I mean, he always seemed to be more about like himself rather than like, oh, you killed my friend, I'm gonna get revenge. And, I mean, it's like maybe if they were like friends going on adventures for a long enough time, but I mean, he knew Olaf for like not even a day, and they didn't really do much together, so it was just kind of funny. But yeah, then they capture Conan, uh, and I guess I can show this page. Conan sees basically we get the history of Cole. I wonder if that's Cole from the other Robert E. Howard character. I know they did a movie on him with Kevin Sorbo. Is that his name? The dude who did Hercules, the TV show. I've never read that stuff though. Like I said, my knowledge of Robert E. Howard is basically Solomon Kane, which I mean it is fantastic. So, but yeah, they basically see Atlantis and all that stuff, and then they see like the future, all the way up to like man like entering space and stuff. And I'll skip some pages. Yeah, I guess I can just end it there. Oh, you know what? I shouldn't get a... Yeah, I'll skip it there just to be on the safe side. I mean, I shouldn't technically get a copyright strike because I'm not showing everything. Plus, I mean, this comic came out in the 70s. But just because I don't really trust Marvel, because I've been hit with false copyright before from Marvel for giving a terrible review. And even though this is not a terrible review, I'm just not going to risk it. But I think this is kind of cool too. We get the in the very back, we get a little bit of the world of Conan, a little bit of a description of it, and then we also get a map of the Hyborian Age, which is pretty sweet as well. But yeah, I really enjoy. Here's the only thing I don't like about the True Believers is that it's just like it picks and chooses what comics they use. So they'll have like the first issue of Conan, and then I also got the other True Believer that came out last week, and it was issue number 4. So I don't have issue 2 or 3. I mean, obviously, if they did it for a reason. I mean, if I want to read all this, they are having the omnibus collection, so I can just pick up that. But yeah, I don't know why I was even bringing that up, because it makes sense why they did it the way they did. But yeah, I really love these True Believers. I'm hoping to see a Ghost Rider one. That'd be pretty sweet. But yeah, I think this month is going to be Conan the Barbarian. I don't know what next month is going to be. I'm pretty sure it's already been announced. But I wish DC would do something like this. Release reprints of classic old school comics from like the 50s, 60s, 70s. That'd be really awesome. But yeah, that's True Believers number 1, Conan the Barbarian, Coming of Conan, which is basically a reprint of Marvel's very first Conan series from the 70s, I believe. Highly recommend picking it up. I mean, it's only $1. Maybe pick up number 4, because this is more of like an introduction to the character and stuff. Not too much action. I haven't read number 4 yet, but I'm assuming number 4 will probably have a lot more, because like introductions and stuff are like all out of the way, so now you can get to the real meat of Conan. But this is good stuff. I really like it. Like I said, I wish DC would do like a True Believers version, like their take on it. Even like stuff like Image should like do reprints of like 90s stuff. I mean, they might have already, but not that I know of. But that'd be great. So yeah, that's Conan the Barbarian. Tell me what you guys think. Also, tell me what you guys think about me doing like these kind of reviews, like more retro stuff. I've been thinking about opening up some of my classic comics that I have. Obviously, because they've not been stored away completely properly, the quality of like the pages and stuff aren't as great as a brand new reprint. But I could do stuff like that. Again, I've also been thinking about doing mangas, because I'll be honest with you guys, I love reading mangas way more than I do comic books. Just because, I mean, if I get a good comic book, then I really enjoy myself. But I think it's just with manga, it's easier to find good stuff, whereas with comics, it's kind of hard. But tell me what you guys think. Hit the subscribe if you guys haven't already. Hit the bell for notification. Please leave a like, comment, and I hope to see you guys next time. Later.